Rome to represent Herod when Herod is king and so on. And he writes, like a lot of these intellectuals do. And so Josephus comes later. So whoever wrote this obviously saw this. And they are full of admiration for it. And the Romans were full of admiration. They put the service of God before their own preservation. And that's what Maccabees 2 is talking about. And most who fell, however, were killed by the countrymen of the rival faction. And we said already that those were Pharisees. Okay, so as the situation develops, what happens to Aristobulus here? His supporters are either butchered or killed or subdued or whatever. You know, if you read the Antiquities, which is a parallel account, it's more detailed. And in that account, a figure named Honi the Circle Drawer is mentioned. Did we do him last time? No. Honi the Circle Drawer is with the hold-up people in the temple after Aristobulus is arrested by the Romans. At this time, the Romans aren't really being vengeful to foreign kings. What do they do with Aristobulus? They end up sending him to Rome as a prisoner. And when Caesar takes over, he treats him with the marks of respect because he sees him as a Jewish king. And he doesn't disrespect him for that. It's all in these books, the Antiquities and this. He has two sons, Antigonus and Alexander. I think the first, Alexander, Josephus tells us, is almost beheaded immediately. Now, you should trace the beheadings in Josephus. Josephus watches the beheadings. I don't think he misses many of them. So if you've got a beheading in the New Testament, I'm pretty much sure that it would have a parallel in Josephus. So if someone is beheaded in the New Testament that isn't beheaded in Josephus, probably the New Testament has maybe changed someone's name, perhaps. And that's my point of view on the beheading of James, the brother of John. It's in the book of Acts that Herod beheaded James, the brother of John, with a sword. It's about chapter 8. But weird enough, or 9 or 10. In the same chapter, the book of Acts tells us that. What happens? It introduces another James it never told us about. James, the brother of Jesus. It gets rid of one James and introduces the next James. Well, in my work that I have, it's very complicated and hard to understand, and I admit that. Josephus tells us in the Antiquities about a Theudas who was beheaded in this time. And I think that this Theudas is actually, to my mind, Judas. Theudas is Judas Thomas, probably. Thaddeus in the New Testament. Theudas to you folks. Too complicated to work out here, but if you look at my New Testament code, I try to work it out for you. But sometimes things are moved slightly sideways in the New Testament's accounts because some of these things are a little bit embarrassing, let us say, to the authors who are reworking some of the material from this period. But let's go back. That's why I think you have to watch all the beheadings. This is the first one. Alexander is beheaded because he doesn't accept this situation. He escapes from Pompey's hands, and he's finally retaken, and he's beheaded. Why would someone be beheaded in this period? Beheading is the Jewish punishment for subversive, insurrectionary, revolutionary activity. Crucifixion is the Roman punishment for this. Sometimes the Romans also behead, but mostly from the time of Spartacus onwards. Spartacus would be about 80 BC. They crucified people for this kind of behavior. Crucifixion is an exemplary punishment to tell other people, if you step out of line like this is what's going to happen to you. You've probably heard and seen the movie Spartacus, or heard of it. Spartacus was a was a gladiator in around 80 BC who led a slave revolt, a gladiator revolt against the Roman army, and beat about 3 or 4 Roman armies before he was finally defeated by the overwhelming might of the armies the Romans were unable to muster. Really never defeated in battle, I don't. He is someone who is advising people to abandon the customs of their ancestors. And the weird thing is that Josephus makes it very clear that this Drusilla, who is also a Herodian princess with some Maccabean blood, as you'll see if you read this carefully, this Drusilla is abandons the traditions of her forefathers, as Josephus puts it in the Antiquities at one point. Even he puts it there at that point. Yet in the book of Acts, they don't identify her as a Herodian. They call her Drusilla a Jewess. Drusilla a Jewess. That's just exactly what she wasn't. That's exactly what she wasn't, a Jewess. She had left the Jewish religion in order to marry Felix, the Roman governor. But the point I'm making is that at one point in the Josephus' works, that's why I have to read them carefully, Josephus says, he crucified so many people that there wasn't enough wood for the crosses or room to hang them all up upon. So this is in the 50s. So there's a lot of crucifying going on in this period. And with the war, after the fall of Jerusalem, you can be sure that several thousand, if not tens of thousands of people were crucified from the prisoners outside of the city there, the ones that weren't sold into slavery or taken to Rome for fun and games, to play with the animals or to do the gladiatorial contests or all the good times. Josephus said they had birthday celebrations for Domitian in Beirut and other places along the way back home to Rome with all of the prisoners that they had birthday parties in the arena for them to fight the animals and each other and that kind of thing. These are really, very gruesome people. Really very gruesome people. You at this time would have no choice but to fight and die if you were an honorable person, or flee. In any event, so Alexander's the first one beheaded. Then Aristobulus, his brother, his father, escapes from Rome. And on the way back, the people loyal to Pompey, I think they send him back